Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the premier radio networks, including 170 of the best stations in the U.S. and Canada, and XM 166 on Sunday, September 18th, 2011. This is episode 806. Enjoy. Tech Guy Netcast is brought to you by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off your new account for 6 months, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code TechGuy9. Well, hey, how are you today? Good morning. Leo Laporte, good afternoon, depending on where you are, I guess. Barely morning, isn't it? Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. I guess that's why I say good day, because I don't know. You're all over the world, you know. Everybody's listening around the United States and the premier radio networks around the world, thanks to the internetworks. But no matter where you are, you can join the conversation. I'd love it if you did at 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. You'll find that at the website, techguylabs.com. +1 888-827-5536. And if you call that number outside the U.S., you'll have to. It's toll free inside the U.S., but outside the U.S., it's a toll call. So you should use Skype out or some other VoIP solution, and you'll get in toll free without cost to you or obligation. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number to talk about. Computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders. I loved it. Stevie Wonder performing last night in Echo Park talked about Steve Jobs and shouted out some good wishes. I think this is really this is Stevie right here. What a guy. I want you all to give a hand to someone you know whose health is very bad at this time. His company took the challenge in making his technology accessible to everyone. In the spirit of caring and moving the world forward, Steve Jobs, because there's nothing on the iPhone or the iPad that you can do, said Stevie Wonder, that I cannot do. As a matter of fact, I can be talking to you, you can be looking at me, and I can be doing whatever I need to do, and you don't even need to know what I'm doing. Yeah! I'm not sure what that means, but that is sweet. And what he's referring to, of course, is the fact that Apple has paid very close attention to accessibility for blind people and others in its devices, and has done a good job. And by doing so, of course, they've encouraged Microsoft to do the same, and accessibility, I think, in Microsoft's products is getting much, much better. We saw Windows 8 this week. Talked a lot about it yesterday. I'd be curious what you think of it. You can install it. Now, remember, it's early days yet. I mean, Windows 8 is in what they call a developer preview. They say this isn't even beta. This is a developer preview. This isn't something we want you to use in production on a machine that you need to have available. This is for developers to look at to start developing. But that's important because what they're saying to developers is that this version of Windows 8 that we're handing out to you today, and everybody can get it if you go to buildwindows.com, 500,000 downloads in the first 24 hours. I don't know how many millions now. But what they're saying is this first version of Windows that we're giving you is, they're telling developers what it's going to look like when it comes out in less than a year. So it's okay to write software for this right now. Go ahead and write software for Windows 8 right now because it's not going to change. And that is giving me pause, I'll be honest with you. Because I'm not sure I like this new Windows 8. I'm sure you must have seen it. If you care about Windows, you must have seen it now. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it on Microsoft's own site, buildwindows.com, where you'll see the keynote. The new Windows 8 has eliminated the Start menu. You know that taskbar at the bottom of the screen with the button on the left that used to say Start and now says, or in Windows 7 says, is just an icon? Well, that's gone. The Start menu now is essentially the kind of thing you'd see on a Windows Phone 7. It is a tiled tablet-style interface. Microsoft has made it very interesting, and I think what will ultimately be a very controversial decision to make Windows user interface very different. The challenge that they gave Steven Sinofsky, the guy who did this, was to reimagine Windows, and his reimagination heavily influenced by the success of the iPad. He's reimagined Windows as a touch interface, and what Microsoft has set out to do is make a user interface that is successful if you're using a tablet for touch, a laptop, or desktop. No matter what, it looks the same. And I think this is a big challenge. I don't know if Microsoft's going to be able to pull this one off, because there's such a difference between the way tablets operate, and tablets are the ultimate in kind of intimate, direct communication between the user and the tablet. You touch it, you feel it, you hold it in your hands. And a laptop, and especially a desktop, is very different. A laptop computer and a desktop computer, you have a keyboard. You don't normally think of them as touch devices. They actually haven't succeeded as touch devices, particularly. And I think that Steve Jobs made the case, and I think correctly so, that nobody wants to lean forward to use a touch screen, and not to mention the finger. I mean, it's just different, isn't it? So here we are with a touch screen interface, really, on a desktop computer. Now, I think maybe for home users this isn't so bad, but I can only imagine what's going to happen when business gets this. I think Microsoft's going to be honest, turn off. They've said, no, this is it. This is the way it's going to be. No, this is it. I think they're going to give you a great big button. I think they'll have to. Maybe they don't intend to right now. That turns on the Windows 7 interface and puts you in Windows 7 mode. I think they have to. And they need to bring back the Start button. And it's not because I don't like change. Above all, I would say I embrace change. I am not one of I know a lot of people say, oh, don't ever change anything. We're used to it now. And certainly in business, there's a real strong case for not changing things, because you got to retrain people. But I love change, so I'm not against change. But I do have to say, wow, I cannot really see this taking off in business, and that's where Microsoft sells most copies of Windows. I'm really puzzled by what they're thinking here. I had initially planned, and I apologize. I had said, I'm not going to say anything about Windows 8 till it comes out. And we don't know when it'll come out, but I'm guessing, and most experts are guessing sometime mid-2012. We won't say anything about Windows 8. I said, I will reserve judgment. I can't do it because I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, Microsoft, we have to tell them now. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is fine on a tablet, but on a desktop computer, don't do it, please. Give us an off switch. That's all we ask. Give us an off switch. And I think if they don't, and they've said they won't. They've said this is how it is. Get used to it. This is Windows. By the way, I am pleased to see that they have it comes with the demo that they gave developers comes with a podcasting application that has some of my shows on it. So I shouldn't be complaining, should I? It's the first time a major operating system has come built in with I hope this ships with this. It's called Mopod. It would be nice if Windows 8 shipped with this. It'd be very good for me. Regardless, I cannot at this point. I can't sit back and say this is it. This is right. This is the future. Oh, and I have friends who are big fans of Microsoft, who are standing up for Microsoft, saying no, this is it. Now, somebody in the chat room said, you're acting as if the desktop isn't there. No, it's there. There's a button that says desktop, but click the start menu and you're back to tiles. You're back to tiles. This is the way it is. What do you think? 8888 Ask Leo. Let's talk about it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
For someone, as you know, whose health is very bad at this time. But for someone who, if his company took the challenge in making his technology accessible to everyone, in the spirit of carrying and moving the world forward, Steve Jobs.
Stevie Wonder, last night in Echo Park, performing and giving a tribute to Steve Jobs. I don't know. Does that clip? I know that's a clip from YouTube, Kyle. Does that clip go on? Does he play a song? I'm wondering if there's a song that he plays as a part of that tribute to Steve Jobs, or if he just spoke. What would you play? Isn't he lovely? 88, I don't know. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. It's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S. You can use a VoIP client and call me. And, of course, the website is techguylabs.com. Our first call of the day is Mary in Texas. Hey, Mary. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, a longtime fan.
Thank you. It's so nice to hear from you.
I've got a question. I'm started volunteering, and as a result, I'm making DVDs, and they're for children with special needs.
Fantastic. That's great.
And I'm trying to figure out the best way to print on them.
Well, there's a couple of things you can do. There's a technology called LightScribe that it's a little more expensive, but you can actually literally inscribe the DVD. Now, the advantage of LightScribe is it's not a label. One of the problems with labels on DVDs and CDs is that there's stickum on them,
right?
And it can come off, and if it ruins, it can ruin a DVD player. So you notice the commercial DVDs are painted, and so there are ways to print. There are inkjet printers that will print right on the DVD, or you could do this LightScribe, which is elegant but more expensive because you have to buy special LightScribe DVDs. And they're about 36 cents as opposed to half that if you buy the bulk. And then you need a LightScribe printer. But the advantage is it actually kind of etches it. It's really cool right onto the medium. So there's two ways to go. I don't recommend sticky labels, although it's the cheapest, easiest way to do it because you print a bunch of labels and then as you burn the DVDs, you just pop them on. There are inkjet printers that have inserts for DVDs, and you just put them in there, and it'll inkjet right onto the DVD. That works fine, and there's no downside to that. It's a little slow, but not much slower. And it's not as expensive as the third choice, which is buying a LightScribe-enabled DVD burner and LightScribe discs. But that gives you this nice etched look. So those are the three different ways to do it. I would say probably the best thing to do, the least expensive, simplest, is, and your current inkjet might even do it, is to get DVD blanks that support inkjet printing, and then check and see if your inkjet printer. What kind? Do you have an inkjet printer?
Yes, I have a small HP.
Yeah, I think most of the HPs will print to discs.
Yeah, it's 1,000 HP DiskJet 1,000.
Yeah, so I would just look and see if you've got the right printer. You may have to buy a special plastic insert that you put the DVDs in, and you can put a few in at a time, and you slide it in there.
What about the durability of those DVDs?
Well, it's inkjet printing, so if the kids lick them,
well,
which they might, I understand that they may be abused.
But I'm thinking more about, because I read something about if you put them in a plastic sleeve versus a jewel case. If you're talking about just general reliability or longevity of optical media, there are a couple of things that can go wrong. There is a reflective layer on CDs and DVDs that if it's scratched, and that's the painted layer, by the way. That's not the clear plastic side. That's the painted layer. If that's scratched, it actually will keep the DVD from being read because the reflective layer is what the laser bounces the light off of so it can read the DVD. So it's actually scratches on the paint side, on the label side, that are more risky than scratches on the plastic side. And then if you live in a humid environment and the DVDs are poorly made, that reflective layer can corrode. That can happen. The burn it yourself DVDs, if they're not rewritables, if they're just DVD-R or plus RW, they are using a dye change technology that perhaps over time can fade. But you know what? They're very reliable. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. All right.
Good for you for doing that, Mary. That's great. What's going to be on these DVDs?
It's a therapeutic writing center, and
That's great.
I go out and I film the kids writing, and kids love seeing themselves.
So it's video of them working.
Yeah, it's them and their lessons, and then and something they can share with parents or grandparents or whatever.
It is. It's really special. I have a very close friend who's developmentally disabled, and she comes in here, and if she can be on camera and see herself, she just loves it.
Well, and I'm finding a second value is it's for some of the therapists too. It helps them.
They can watch the work. They can
kid,
watch the kid. That's really great. Mary, I wouldn't. Look, these things don't have to last 100 years. They're going to last 5 or 10 years. They'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Sure, Mary. I think that's great. And I think for a point of view, LightScribe is great because it looks really cool. It's like it's etched on the metal on the thing. But that's a special burner, blah blah blah, and it takes a while. I actually really like the idea of just inkjetting them on there. The thing to watch out for is those sticky labels. Scott Wilkinson's coming up at 33 past the hour to talk home theater. I see he's in our chat room. You can join him there. Aaron in Mesa, Arizona, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Mr. Leo, this is Aaron B. from the chat room.
Hey, Aaron B.
What's going on? You doing good?
I'm doing great.
I know you are. You're looking good. I'm drinking coffee with you, I think.
Yes, that's coffee in the TWiT mug. Aaron's watching our live video feed.
Coffee with a kick.
He's not spying on me.
No. Happy.
We broadcast a live video feed at twit.tv so people can watch me talk. I don't know why you'd want to, but...
Because I know I can't look at you talking because of the lag. It would put me way off, actually. Talking.
Yeah, while you're listening, you shouldn't watch. So I'll tell you what, while I'm talking to you, I'll put a different picture on the screen that doesn't show my mouth moving. There you go.
Awesome.
Now, what can I do for you, Aaron?
And actually, I wanted to let the nice lady calling up beforehand know that LightScribe is slower than dirt. It's a lovely thing, but it's slower than dirt.
Yeah.
And it's expensive, but it's beautiful. Slower than dirt.
So it does come out. Do you have a LightScribe printer?
Yeah, and it's great, and I use it for Christmas presents and stuff like that if I'm making something for the family.
It really looks like you've etched the disc. It's gorgeous.
It's beautiful. Yeah. It looks professional. It's great. It looks as good as your skills are in making, in the design aspect. It looks as good as...
Right. If you have stick figures, don't get LightScribe. Yeah, I think probably the inkjet printing is the best way to do it.
Yeah, but other than that, you can also take the discs to Kinko's and print them actually if you're really...
Oh, I didn't know that. So Kinko's, if you bring the discs in...
They'll print it for you.
Oh, that's great. I did not know that. That's probably the best way. She's doing a bunch of them. That's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, which will probably work out to be the cheapest, just easy.
Aaron, thank you. Why didn't I did not know that. I'm glad to... Of course they would do that.
Actually, and my question was, because I come groveling before Scott comes and gives knowledge, is the... So I'm debating... what I need to do is I need my lovely bride, the Leo fan, Frankie. She wants to be able to. She loves Netflix, and she wants to be able to access it easily in the bedroom as well as right now we use another TiVo in the living room.
All right, hang on, Aaron. Scott's coming up, and I'll ask him, and then I'll give you my opinion too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Kyle, you're going to make me cry. Was this the song he sang, or is this just the right song?
Yeah, with Dionne Warwick.
Yeah.
And Elton John in this.
Such a great song. Stevie Wonder, Dionne Warwick, Elton John. That's what friends are for. Oh, man. And we were talking about the fact that yesterday, concert at Echo Park, Stevie Wonder made a tribute to Steve Jobs and thanking him for making Apple products so accessible for blind users. And boy, I hope he played that song. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. Scott Wilkinson is on the horn. He is via Skype joining us. He is our home theater expert, online editor for Home Theater Magazine at hometheater.com, and hosts a fabulous home theater podcast on that network they call TWiT. What a terrible name. TWiT.tv if you want to see Home Theater Geeks. It's every Monday, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. And who's on Monday before we go too much farther, Scott? Do you know?
Actually, Monday is very interesting. It's the chief scientist of THX.
Oh, wow.
A guy named Laurie Fincham, who is actually going to be doing the podcast right from your studio.
So he's going to be here.
He's going to be right there. He lives in the area. He works at THX, which is right down the road from you.
Sure it is, yeah.
And so he's going to be coming in and talking about, he works on a lot of future technology, future audio technology stuff for THX. So we're going to get to have a little peek into the future.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
Should really be fun. Yeah, he's a really great guy. And a musician to boot. Plays stand-up bass.
Well, maybe he'll bring his bass in.
Wouldn't that be cool?
So, let's quickly get Aaron's question out of the way.
Yes, absolutely. I did hear that.
Best way to watch Netflix on a TV. Boy, there are a lot of ways to watch Netflix on a TV. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
He wanted to know about the Roku box, which happens to be a favorite of mine because it's very inexpensive, under $100. They have a high def, although high def for Roku is 720p.
Right.
They have more than just Netflix too. They have a ton of stuff, including TWiT. You can watch us live on the Roku.
See, this
so
is
I like
why
that.
This is why I would recommend the Roku for him, because in the chat room, he says he wants it easy to use to watch podcasts and Netflix.
He's
Now,
watching
Netflix,
in the living room. He's watching on a TiVo.
Okay, and can he get the podcast?
Yeah,
on
you
TV?
can. It's a weird
Okay.
little thing, and Aaron, I think, is the one who told me you could do this. TWiT's on there, but you can enter any RSS feed, and TiVo will get it for you and play it on your TV.
That's very good. So I would say get a TiVo or get the Roku box.
Does TiVo do Netflix?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd have to go look that up. I'm not 100% sure. If they don't, then the Roku's the way to go,
I love
because
the
you
Roku.
could get a Blu-ray player. They all do Netflix. You could get a TV that does Netflix. We were
Pretty
talking
much,
about.
you know, the thing about Netflix is it's the gold standard now for internet television. So
Yeah.
any device that connects to the internet, Xbox 360, Nintendo Wii, PlayStation 3, computers, tablets, phones, many TVs now with Ethernet jacks, many Blu-ray players with Ethernet jacks. They'll all connect to Netflix. They don't all run the same Netflix software.
No, and that's the most amazing thing. You go to one of these devices and then go to another one, and the Netflix experience looks different. It has a different user interface. I think it might even have different content available as well. So it's not at all the same experience. We were talking about this on frame rate, actually. I wanted to mention that I was on 2 different TWiT podcasts this week other than my own.
I couldn't figure out what was going on. First you were on Frame Rate, and then you were on This Week in Law.
This Week in Law.
And I thought, wow.
Denise asked me to be on, and I said, sure, of course. I'm not sure what I can talk about. I'm not a lawyer. But
I love Denise. I think that's such a great show. And
it is a great show.
Because it's called This Week in Law, I think a lot of people say, oh, I'm not interested in that. But she does such a good job of making it accessible and interesting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we were talking about streaming and, various legal issues there, which I don't know the legalities of it, but I have always been fascinated by sort of the gray areas. Also ripping Blu-rays and DVDs to a hard drive and playing them from a server.
Right.
And, all the legal stuff that's going on around that. It was a fascinating conversation. So I recommend it to people.
All of that's
Anyway.
at twit.tv. Just
exactly.
plug. Did you come up, though, on Frame Rate with the best way to watch Netflix or the best Netflix software?
Well, we were talking about the difference between TV, accessing it from a TV versus accessing it from, say, a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, because Frame Rate really is about cord cutting. It's about what do you do? What is it like if you get rid of your TV connection, your cable connection, and you start watching on the internet?
And I was asked, do you think it's better to access Netflix, say, from a TV or from a set-top box? And I said a set-top box because it's easier to deal with. You can replace it if you need to. You might get firmware updates to the TV, but you might not. But another reason that I didn't think of at the time and wanted to make sure I mentioned is that the audio from the TV is probably only going to be 2-channel. And if you want multi-channel, if you want surround sound, you're not going to get it if you get the audio or the stream into your TV. At best, you'll get 2-channel from the TV speakers, which are funky, or you might get a regular Dolby Digital out to your receiver, maybe, in some cases.
Well, do you get 5.1 sound out of a Roku?
Depends on what they send you, but you certainly could. And you certainly do out of a Blu-ray player.
So that's probably the best way to do it, although I know some Blu-ray players have terrible software.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly right. So, which is why I'm going back to the Roku.
Roku, I would say, is the best. Now, there's also things like the Boxy Box. There's these the Google TV. And those will probably have the latest versions of the Netflix software because they're easily updated. So I don't know.
Exactly.
There's a lot of choices. All right, let's get a question from one of your readers.
Yes. Well, let me just go there, and I will find. Oh, yeah, this was a great one actually, from the Netherlands. But of course, I have to find it.
And then translate from the Dutch, and it's so complicated.
From the Dutch, and then it's really really quite a problem.
I'm sorry, did I surprise you?
No. I had it all set up and ready to go.
I thought that's what we were going to do.
Well, I can remember. I don't remember the guy's name, but it was from Holland. He said, should I have a center channel speaker, or can I do without a center channel speaker?
Well, that's a good question. So in a 5.1 setup or a 7.1 setup, you have a center voice channel, left and right, subwoofer, and you might have side or rear channels as well. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Subwoofer is center is 5. Subwoofer is 0.1.
The subwoofer is 0.1. You might have surrounds on the sides, which would be a 5.1, and you might have them on the sides and the rear, which would be a 7.1.
So what is that center channel for?
Mostly for dialogue.
So that the voice comes from the guy's mouth.
Exactly, on the screen. Now, this guy in the Netherlands said, his room is very small. And so his speakers, his front, right, and left speakers are close together, and he might not even have room for a center channel. Well, it's possible to do without a center channel. Such a configuration is called a phantom center. And it is, it's just simply, you take the center channel, information, the dialogue mostly, and you split it and you put it in both the right and the left. And it comes out the right and the left equally, and you hear it kind of in the middle, and it kind of sounds like it's coming from the center. I don't like the way that sounds as well as a real center channel speaker. The dialogue is so important that you really, I think, want a real physical center channel, not a phantom center. Now, there are audiophiles who disagree because they listen mostly to two-channel music. And so they go, well, I don't really need a center channel when I'm watching a movie. The phantom center is fine, and it doesn't get in the way of, the real center doesn't get in the way of my two-channel listening. I don't want to spend the money on the speaker or whatever. And that's fine. And if you don't have room, you don't have a choice. Okay, that's fine too. I'd prefer a center channel speaker when I can get one.
Scott Wilkinson, hometheater.com. And join him on Home Theater Geeks tomorrow on TWiT.tv. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo, that's the number. Davida in Long Beach, California.
Oh, hello, Leo.
Hi, Davida.
Thank you for taking my call.
Welcome.
I have a problem. I'm over 80. I don't even have a computer. But I live in an elderly folks' home, and some of them, not all of them, but some are a little senile.
Mm-hmm.
And they like to play jokes on others.
Oh, dear.
And somebody got information about me. They asked me where I used to live, over the years and everything. And they put information that's not true. I've always lived a decent life. They put information that's not true about me on websites. I don't know which ones, Google or...
well, see, that's the question, and I know this is, you don't know because you don't have a computer, but that's the question, is where is it? Because if people can put bad stuff, wrong stuff on the internet, it happens all the time.
Right.
In fact, it's a big problem. You've heard of cyberbullying and kids, it happens a lot with kids because kids are terrible on this kind of thing.
Kids sometimes.
Yeah, and I think often when people have dementia, that they become more childlike, right? And so they're doing the kinds of things. It's not. You can't blame them, but you sure would like to get it off the internet. I understand that. The problem is it depends on where on the internet it is.
Yeah, somebody told me I had to have their password that they put it on with, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
Do I have to have that, or?
Well, I don't know, because if it depends where they put it. If they put it on a Facebook page, then I would just ignore it. It will go away after a while. In fact, I think in most cases, if they tweet it, if they put it on Twitter, if they put it on Facebook, it will go away. If they put it on a web page, nobody's ever going to see it. I would just probably ignore it, Davida. It's not it's not nice. It's not something you want to have in public, but it's not exactly a billboard on the 405.
It feels that way, though.
I know it does. I really know it does. And
people at church don't even talk to me.
I'm so sorry.
If I can find out, maybe I go to the library, and the librarian will help me find out what web.
Yes. So this is the challenge that I'm going to give you the assignment, which is, because I can't help you unless I know what the site is.
I understand.
There are some sites where if somebody puts something defamatory about you, you can contact the site and say take it down, and they will. Most of the time, not. Let's talk about some of the ways that people might say something mean about you online. Facebook would be number one, and they would do it in their own Facebook account. My choice, I mean, that happens to me too, but my choice would be to ignore it. It will scroll off the bottom very quickly, and nobody will see it ever again.
Oh.
If they did it on Twitter, same thing. If they created a web page that said, Davita's a really nasty person, I don't like her.com, then it's a little more challenging. You can perhaps go to the company that hosts that web page and ask them to take it down. And in some cases, they will. But it usually involves getting law enforcement involved, and they won't unless it's a threat. You can write them a letter. You get a lawyer involved. It's a lot of work, and I'll be honest, as painful as this is to you right now, I would just say it'll almost certainly just kind of pass on and go away, and it won't be a problem.
I see. Well, I appreciate all you've told me. I know that you certainly know what you're talking about.
Well, thank you. Let me know, if you will, call back or send me an email to leo@techguylabs.com. Well, you don't have internet, but yeah, go to the library. They'll help you there. My suspicion is there's not much you can do about it, and nor is there much you need to do about it, because the internet is a very big place, and it's just going to go away. It'll just drift off, and everybody will forget it. If you make a big deal about it, they call it the Streisand effect, actually, because Barbara Streisand was defamed. I can't remember if it was a tabloid magazine or whatever, and had she just ignored it, it would have gone away. You know, there'd be the next subject and the next day and the next day and the next day. But she sued. They made a big deal about it. And, of course, a lot more people knew about it than would have otherwise. Let me talk about, though, defending yourself online. There are companies like Reputation Defender that will do this for a fee. Let me talk about what they can and cannot do, and what you can and cannot do in just a little bit, for everybody in general. So there are companies like Reputation Defender. Let's talk about this. That claim that they can fix your reputation online. The truth is, it's very limited what they can do. You can hire a lawyer who can go and sue companies or go after companies, but most of the time that's ineffective. It's very difficult once something gets on the internet to get rid of it. So companies like Reputation Defender do what you could do too. They create a lot of other content so that if somebody does a Google search on your name, this is what we're worried about. Somebody will do a Google search on your name, and they'll find this defamatory website. It'll come up number one. So the best defense, and this is something you can do proactively right now, is to have a lot of other content on the internet that's real, that you created, that's genuine. Now, I'm not crazy about the way companies like Reputation Defender do this. First of all, it's very expensive to get this to be done right. The inexpensive monthly fee, it's not going to benefit you at all. They'll just let you know that something bad's out there. For $10,000 or more a month, they will create a lot of phony content with your name in it. And by doing so, that stuff will rise to the top of Google, because they know how to do that. Then people find that. But it's phony content. I don't think that's a good solution either. Really what you want to do, and I would suggest this to teenagers. In fact, I give talks on this. Start cultivating your online reputation now. Create a website. If you're a kid in school, put your best papers, your best poetry, your best music, your best writing on there. A Facebook page, that's fun for yourself. It doesn't help you with this. A Twitter account might. A Google Plus account might. Better yet, have your own webpage. Get content. Participate in the internet with high-quality content of your own, because that creates your reputation online. Where it's really dangerous is somebody like our last caller who's never been online. And so the first thing that somebody creates with her name in it is the only thing that's going to show up on Google. That's number one result. So the best thing to do is to be proactive and use the internet. Put your stuff out on the internet. If you search for my name, I'm sure there's defamatory stuff about me on the internet. But if you search for my name, the first 10 pages will be stuff that I made. It'll be positive stuff that I did. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. That's what one of these companies will do for you. But frankly, I think the best way to do it is for you to do it yourself. Now, it's really hard for somebody like our last caller who's never been online, who doesn't have a computer. What is she going to do? I feel for her. And I don't know what the answer is to that. But maybe they can help her at the library. The truth is, if something's on the internet about you, pretty hard to get it down. Bobby in Laverne, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bobby.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome.
I'm having trouble with my email, and I'm using Windows Live Mail.
Good. I like Windows Live Mail.
And I'm not sure if this happened when we switched to it or not. I don't know the timeline on it. But on any of my emails that come in, when I try to open a link going to something else, this appears. It appears. It says Windows cannot access the specific device path or file. You may not have the appropriate permission to access the item. On anything.
That sounds badly screwed up, Bobby, and probably not something I can fix on the air in a minute or two. I think you're going to need to bring this into the shop. I hate to say that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, here we go today. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phone, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. I feel bad about our last caller. We ran out of time right at the top. She was having trouble, had clicked a link in email, and just kaboom. And somebody in the chat room said, and I completely agree, one thing I should have said right up top is do not click links in email. Always risky. Although I have to say Windows Live Mail protects you as best it can from getting something bad happening to you from clicking a link in an email. Links in emails are very dangerous because in most email systems, you can have the text of the link say one thing, but the place the link goes to be something else. So the text of the link can say Bank of America, but the actual link, you think you're clicking Bank of America, but the actual link could be hacker.com, weownyou.com. Your computer has been pwned.com. And so you don't see that. So this is why phishing scams work. These are the emails, the scam emails that you get that look like they came from your bank. And, it's got the logo and everything. And it says, click here to, fix this problem, bad guy, whatever. Often it says things like, we see a lot of international access on your bank account lately. This could be a problem. We suggest you change your password by going to our website. Click here. And you say, it says my bank's name right there. It says Citibank or Bank of America, whatever. So you click it, and you get to a webpage that looks just like your bank. And you log in. And then something goes wrong. The site doesn't work. Well, the internet doesn't work sometimes. Breaks. So you go, I don't know what happened there, but I'll check it again later. But what you've actually done, you haven't logged into your bank's website. You've logged into the hacker.com website, given them your credentials, and now they're busy getting into your bank account. Things like that. These are phishing scams. They're very common, and they really, the problem comes from kind of blindly clicking on links in email. So it is very dangerous to click a link in an email. A link that says something benign, Feed Hungry Children Here might actually link to a page that downloads malware in your system and takes it over. I think that might be what happened to Bobby, to be honest. She clicked a link in email and all hell broke loose, and I have a feeling that that's what's went on there. Now, the problem is I wish I could. I wish I could reach out through the radio and heal her machine. I cannot do that. Unfortunately, while I might even know what has happened, I really can't even walk her through the healing process. She's got to go to a healer to fix that. And well, let's hope, and this is the unfortunate thing, let's hope she can find a good one, because there's plenty of charlatans out there. It's not that they're bad people, but they just maybe don't know as much as they should, and sometimes they can make your machine worse. It's a shame. We shouldn't have to be security experts to use computers. We shouldn't have to be computer experts to use computers. We shouldn't have to be technology experts to use technology. But unfortunately, we kind of do. And the technology industry has sold us a little bit of a bill of goods. They've implied that all you have to do is turn it on. It's easy. Anybody can do it. Not so. And so I do my best to help and educate. But sometimes you just need an expert. The assistant of an expert. And I can't. I apologize. I cannot always help you over the phone. I should say, though, don't click links in email. In general, that's very dangerous. If you get an email that you think really is from your bank or AAA or the Department of Motor Vehicles, hand type the link in. Don't click the link. You could copy and paste it, by the way. Copy that text. Open your browser right at the top there where it has the address bar. Paste it in. First of all, you'll see what it was. When you paste it in, it'll say, oh, wait a minute, HackerDoc, that's not what I wanted. If you type it in, if you type in bankofamerica.com, that's where your browser will go, unless your machine's been compromised. Travis in Elliston, Virginia, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, first-time caller. Been listening to you for a long time.
Well, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'm looking to, I've just got a new computer a couple months ago, a MacBook Pro, but I've been trying to figure out what to do with my old Mac Mini. Been searching around, and I see a lot of people like turning them into media centers and
we do all sorts of things. We have, how many Mac Minis do we have, John? At least 6 or 7 old Mac Minis. So we've done all sorts of things. One of them runs a constant chat stream. One of them runs a logo. I mean, there's all sorts of things you could do with Mac Minis. They have some advantages because they're quiet, low power, compact. They make great little media centers. Or web servers, or, all sorts of things. We use a lot of them, and they're fairly affordable. I wouldn't recommend going out and buying them just to do that, but if you've got one lying around, that's great. So do you want to do a media center, Travis? Is that what you're looking to do?
Well, I usually, when I get DVDs, I'll burn them and, take them off there and put them on my hard drive, and I'm kind of getting a lot now, and I'm thinking maybe I could...
yeah, that's a good idea. So you want to use the hard drive of the Mac Mini, hold all those movies you've ripped, and have it be a media server.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. So the program I would recommend, excellent program for putting on there, is called Plex. P-L-E-X. Boy, the stuff you can do with Plex, it's mind-boggling. Plexapp.com if you want to find out more about it. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. You can put it on a Mac Mini. You can even put it on your phone, your iPad, or your in fact, even some LG devices now work with it. It's Android, Apple, Windows. So what Plex does, you'll download the Plex desktop and put it on your Mac Mini. It is a player. It will stream that content, or you can hook it up. If you have a late model Mac Mini, you've already got HDMI on it. Otherwise, you're going to need to get a little hardware connector to connect it to your TV. This thing is unbelievable, the power of Plex. So I can't in one short call explain all the things it can do, but if you want to turn a small, unused computer lying around the house into a media device, Plex is it. It is a port of, or a rewrite of, the Xbox Media Center. So there was a project to kind of recreate the Xbox media capabilities, and that was called XBMC. And then it was open source, so others took the XBMC stuff. Boxy is based on XBMC, I believe. Plex is as well. And they've created this incredible, really, user-supported media playing software that's just very powerful. And by the way, Boxy is another good choice, Boxee. But my personal opinion is Plex is the best. That's the one you want. Let's go to Denmark. Say hi to Daniel. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. I have a question about my iPhone and the iTunes.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, over the time, I've transferred a lot of stuff. I both bought stuff from iTunes, and I've also transferred from my CDs. But recently, my computer, I had to reformat it. But now when I try and sync up through iTunes again, it's telling me that all the stuff I didn't buy through iTunes is basically going to get lost.
That's no good.
Yeah.
So the stuff you bought from iTunes is older stuff that still has copy protection on it. Is that the issue?
Well, no, it's just basically like basically all the stuff I bought through iTunes, the store, is like can transfer it perfectly. But all the stuff I transferred from CDs and stuff like that over to iTunes and then synced it up with my iPhone is not going to transfer over.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why that would be. From iTunes' point of view, all of it's, in fact, I could see how you'd problems with this stuff you bought if it had copy protection on it. But the stuff you ripped, is it in your iTunes library?
Well, I reformatted it, and now it's no longer in my library.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, yeah, if you erased it, yes, you. Let's talk some more. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Here is something you can learn.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's always more fun to share it with everyone. Daniel's on the line from Denmark. So I think I understand this. You've got music that you erased on your hard drive, but you still have a copy of it on your iPhone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and iTunes does volunteer when you have purchased tracks or purchased apps on your iPhone or your iPod to copy it, but it won't do that with stuff that you just ripped yourself. So, Apple has put in, probably at the behest of the music industry, a very primitive form of copy protection to keep you from taking your iPod to a friend's house and giving them everything that's on it. Now, you can imagine if you've got a 64-gig iPhone or worse, a 160-gig iPod, and you bring it over to a friend's house and you say, take all my music, it's the ultimate music piracy device. So I'm sure the record industry was very nervous about this. And what they did is they hid it. It's still there. They just hid it. They changed the names. They obscured the file names. Are you on Windows or Mac, Daniel?
I'm on Windows.
There's a ton of software on both that will let you plug in your phone and it'll get it all off of it. In fact, we've been talking off the air in the chat room about it. For Apple users, for Macintosh users, I like Phone View, which is $20. That's from eCam.com. For Windows users, there's something called SharePod that the chat room likes a lot. These all are programs that essentially will read the iPhone, will see the hidden folders, and we'll copy the stuff off. Another good one is Floola, Floola. It's free. Floola. So these are all recommendations from the chat room. CopyTrans 4, not free. And then, what great choice is Winamp. You might already have this. Winamp is a media player for Windows a lot of people use. It's owned by AOL. And it will see what's on your phone and copy it off as well.
But I'm also looking for stuff basically I don't just want it off the iPhone. I also want to put new stuff on it.
Well, so here's the deal. So you go to your formerly erased library. You use, say, Floola to copy everything back to your hard drive. Now iTunes has your whole library. You can begin syncing to your iPhone again, and if you put new stuff in iTunes, it'll go onto the phone. But you can also use these programs like Floola to put stuff on the phone as well. I just think the main thing to do, you really don't want to have the only copy of your stuff be on your phone anyway. Right? You want to aren't you glad though you have a backup on your phone? Because if you had formatted your hard drive and you didn't have a copy on your phone, you'd have nothing.
Exactly. Because that's the main thing. I didn't want to transfer all the CDs and rip them all again.
So my suggestion is to make a backup of your iTunes folder after you do this restore process, because a phone is not the best backup, and you shouldn't have only one copy of anything anywhere. So there's a lot of Media Monkey is a good choice. You know, you don't have to use iTunes. There are programs that will sync with your iPhone instead of iTunes. It will copy programs to or files to and from your iPhone. Winamp is great. Media Monkey is great. Flula is a new one that I had not heard of. These are all Windows programs that will get that precious stuff off your iPhone. And then from now on, make sure you have copies on hard drive, iPhone, and an external hard drive so that you have a backup.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Leo.
Sure, Daniel. Thanks for listening in Denmark. It's wonderful. Andrew's in Salinas, a little closer to home in California. Hi, Andrew. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, it's great to hear you. Hey, I got a question for you. I just purchased a NAS box, and I put two 2-terabyte hard drives and set up as RAID 1, so they're mirroring each other.
Mm-hmm.
One fails. I have two questions related to this NAS box. First of all, I want to be able to download all of my iTunes music from my desktop to the NAS box, and then be able to listen to my iTunes music from the NAS box from my desktop location or my laptop location within the network. I've been trying to research some information, and I can't find anything specific to that. And the second question is, how do I remote access into the NAS box from a remote location?
Okay, two questions and two answers.
Yep.
Most NAS boxes, I'm not sure who makes yours. Who makes yours?
It's a DNS 321. It's their basic NAS box.
Most of them come with an iTunes media server on it. You should just check to see. If not, then you're kind of relying on the ability to extend the software on the NAS. What a NAS is it's a computer, really. It's a headless computer. That stands for Network Addressable Storage, or Network Attached Storage. It looks like a big hard drive enclosure. Usually has multiple drives for redundancy, as in your case. I prefer RAID 5 to RAID 1, but if it has RAID 5, I would use that because it gives you both it gives you redundancy, but it also gives you other benefits, including the ability to swap out a drive and put in a new one. Maybe with only 2 drives, RAID 1 is fine. But the box has an Ethernet jack, but doesn't have a keyboard connector, doesn't have a monitor connector. That's because once you plug it into your network, it's now, it looks like a server on the network. And any computer on your network can address it over the network as a shared storage device. And as you probably know, you can also use your browser to browse to that device's address, and that's how you control it, right?
Right.
So if I would look in your browser interface and see if it has an iTunes server.
It does.
Okay.
It does.
So you enable that. And then that hard drive should show up on all of your computers as iTunes, as a shared iTunes. In fact, if you launch iTunes, you should see it as a shared iTunes.
It does on my desktop, but not on my laptop. And I've tried to delete some songs off the shared drive, and it won't delete.
Okay, so that's a permissions issue. Probably needs to be configured differently. I suspect that the laptop has security software or something is blocking the server.
Okay.
So it's I wish it were push button easy.
Yes.
It isn't. You're doing a network share, and so network sharing is always a little tricky, but it should work, and your laptop should be able to see it. It's probable that a port is blocked, or you've got security software on the laptop that is blocking.
Okay.
The media server. As for accessing that network attached storage from the outside world, that again would be some software that's on the network attached storage. You should see if it supports, for instance, VPN or remote access. You don't really want to put it out in the outside world, publish that address that you use with your web browser publicly.
Right.
Because then anybody can access it.
Sure.
But most of the time, a network-attached storage will have some way that you can remotely access it. It just depends what's built in. There might be OpenVPN built into it. That would be nice because it would also give you a VPN into your computer network, into your internal network.
Okay.
It may have a sharing sharing that works over the internet. There's all sorts of. It's essentially you got to look into the NAS's software and look in the options and look for that kind of thing. There is something probably in there. Most NASs, that's possible. You could even use, somebody's pointing out, John Parkman in our chat room's pointing out that the FTP might work, file transfer protocol, if you just wanted to grab a file. But if you wanted to stream iTunes Music, for instance, over the internet, you'd need something like a virtual network to get into the NAS and see it. You'd have to tunnel in. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. We're going to take a break. Come back with more. 8888 Ask Leo. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, what's this red thing here? Go away, Google Plus. Every day is like Sophie's Choice, trying to choose which ring goes where. Oh, no,
Hey, Leo, you have a DSL Extreme billboard here.
without a bite.
All right.
And when I drunkenly post that he's cute, I can edit it later that night.
Who did this?
I kind of like Google Plus.
It was on break.com.
Can't believe I'm on Google Plus. Oh, another hangout and another hangout. I dig my Google Plus.
Wow. That's how you know a social network has made it, when they make a song about it on break.com. From Google Plus, of course, Google's response to Facebook. And the jury's still out. I love Google Plus, use it like crazy, and read it almost religiously almost all the time. But I think that the number of posts have gone down a little bit, slowed down. I guess that's inevitable. You have to get an invitation, but it's easy to get one. It's kind of like Gmail was in the early days. Plus.google.com. Ask your local geek for an invitation. Facebook's response to Google Plus already. Facebook's added something called subscriptions, and if you wish to subscribe to my Facebook page, you can. So here's the deal on this one. Facebook has had in the past normal pages for people like, normal people, as everybody uses it. But if you're a brand or a celebrity, that there's been a problem with that, because you can only have 5,000 friends, and brands and celebrities usually want many, many, many more. So they added fan pages. They just call them pages. And those are unlimited, and they're what we call asynchronous. So somebody can friend you on a fan page, and you don't have to respond back. They just get to follow you. On Facebook proper, nobody can be your friend unless you let them. They ask and you answer. But on a fan page, not necessary. So they've added this new feature, which is kind of, it's confusing, as usual with Facebook, called Subscribe. And if you are a brand or a celebrity, or you just think people are going to want to follow you, you can go to your account settings and turn on subscriptions. And then people can subscribe to you. That's not becoming a friend. They just get to see your content, just as if they followed you on Twitter, or they followed you on Google Plus, or circled you on Google Plus. They subscribe, and now they see your stuff. And you can say, when you make a post, you can determine who gets to see what. So you still have the capability of making private posts, but now there's privacy. As you're posting, you have the choice: public, friends, custom, close friends, family list. There's all this. This is very Google Plus-y. They're very much influenced by the success, obviously, of Google Plus. They're paying attention. Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, the founder, is actually the most followed, most circled person on Google Plus. He hasn't posted anything publicly yet, but he's clearly very interested. Now, Facebook's big F8 conference, their developer conference, is coming up. I think it's next week. And I expect at F8 to see a lot of announcements about new features on Facebook. We're expecting a Facebook music service, which would mean that if you're already a Facebook user, you could, I guess, stream music within Facebook. I guess that's the idea. But they added the subscribe. I'm not clear. We'll see. They added the subscribe feature before the big announcements on F8. I think they're jumping very quickly. So you'll see if I go to my Facebook page, and you'll see this on your Facebook page, you'll see a new box on the right that says people to subscribe to. These are people who have turned on public subscription. You have to turn it on. It's not automatic. So if you're a public figure and, you'd like people to follow you, you can click subscribe. And I am a public figure on Facebook. If you go to facebook.com/Leo G. Laporte, you'll see a subscribe button there. We also have I also have a page. This is why it's confusing. You can go to facebook.com/The Leo Laporte and like me there. It's not a subscribe button. It's a like button. It's very confusing. I think Facebook is scrambling a little bit, trying to keep up with the Google. And I'm not even clear they need to keep up with the Google. I think in many ways what Facebook probably should do at this point, they've got 750 million users, is make it not more complicated, less complicated. Simplify it. Keep privacy controls on. Make it easy to use, because the people who use Facebook really use it for one reason only. They want to keep track of family and friends. Add to that functionality. Make it straightforward. Don't worry about celebrities. Don't worry about brands. Don't add subscribe buttons and unclear privacy controls. Streamline it. You're going in the wrong way. Jane in Fallbrook, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jane.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm great. Welcome.
I have a question for you. I'm kind of technically challenged, I guess, and a novice user, but I want a new phone.
Good.
And so I've heard you talk about iPhone versus the Androids. And for somebody who just basically wants a good phone to, communicate through, and I would probably be surfing the net mostly on it. I don't even know if I'd be texting too much. What would you recommend?
So the real cutoff between a feature phone, which are the less expensive phones, and the smartphones is really this using the internet thing. Mm-hmm. If you do want to browse, then you need a smartphone. And what that means is you're going to be spending a minimum of $30 a month for data. So it's going to add to the cost of the phone per month. You understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
But it is something you want to do.
Yes.
All right. Be honest, I think it's great. I think having a phone in your pocket that is essentially a little computer has all sorts of wonderful benefits. But there is a real cost to it. It's not as inexpensive, and it's more complicated to use. If you're a novice user, you hear me talk about Android a lot, and I'm a big Android fan, but I don't think it's ideal for a novice user. I think it's really more complicated than a novice. I would say the iPhone is the way to go.
Okay.
Now, the good news is there's a new iPhone. Your timing is very good. There's a new iPhone coming out probably October 10th to 17th, somewhere in the second week of October. So just wait. You'll be able to get it for sure from Verizon and AT&T. My suspicion is Sprint is also going to offer the new iPhone.
Okay. Where I live, AT&T seems to work pretty well for me, though. So I think
good. Yeah, and you should always look at that. That's absolutely something to consider. Is who works the best. The good news is now iPhone's available on pretty much everybody, so you'll have that chance. I would wait till the new one comes out because you want the new features. You may also see when the new one comes out a drop in prices in the old one. In fact, I think you're already starting to see the iPhone 4 for less money. So that's good news.
Can I ask one more question?
Certainly.
Would I be better off going into like an iPad, or is the phone the way to go?
Well, do you want a phone?
Well, I want a phone to have a phone, but
yeah, I mean the iPad is not. The iPad is essentially a giant iPhone minus the phone.
Yeah.
So if you said to me, I want to buy a computer that will. I just want to surf the net and do email and. I don't want to. I'm a novice user. And I don't want to get too complicated. Then I'd say the iPad is great. That's more like a computer.
Okay.
If you're saying to me, I want a phone that has some computer features, then I'd say the iPhone. I think what happens, and I think this is why the iPad is so successful, is people have iPhones, and they get comfortable with the interface and how to use it, and all of a sudden they say that iPad, that's pretty attractive. I might want to do that too.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So they're different. They're different things, I guess.
Okay.
The browser on the iPad is much more like a computer browser. It's a full-size browser in effect. So on a phone it's tiny and it's slower. So it's a little easier to use on an iPad if that's what your interest is.
So a phone is slower?
It's a little bit slower. Yeah. I mean, they're both using 3G networks. It feels to me like the iPad is faster than most phones.
Okay.
So if that's what you want, if it's email and web you want, and the phone is a secondary, you could always get a cheap phone, and then get an iPad.
Okay.
All right. Well, I sure appreciate your help, and I sure appreciate your program.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate your listening. Thanks, Jane. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's just the weirdest Office theme. I don't understand. Is it like the MIDI version? I'll tell you, this guy is good. Kyle Benham on the controls and picking the music. And if you want to see what Kyle picks for the show and listen to it on your very own, he does post that on Google+. You circle him, KYLEBENHAM. We'll also put the show playlist at the end of our show notes every day at techguylabs.com. This is show 806. Holy cow! We are about to embark on the redesign. I know I've been promising a redesign of this website for, well, practically since I started the show. We're about to embark on the redesign finally. And I think you will like it. It might take a month or two. We've got a good design team working on, folks at ImageX Media in Vancouver, and I think they're going to do a nice job. And it will have many, many more features for your interactivity. Meanwhile, techguylabs.com. Bob in Ontario, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bob.
Hey, how you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
Great, love your show.
Thank you.
I got a question for you. I published a website. The name of the website is troutzilla.com, like the fish, trout with a zilla behind it. And I don't think it's a bad-looking site, but what I need to do is the next level. I want to...
What is it that you're promoting here?
It's a just fun website, T-shirts, apparel, and gift items and that. And
how did you build this initially?
I went through one of the I don't know if I can use the name, GoDaddy.
Okay, and they have a site builder program.
Yeah.
That's a big trout. Did you catch that trout?
You know what? Almost.
That is a ginormous trout.
Yeah, the guy there holding it. It's I got pictures coming in, and that is actually a cousin of mine.
That's great. So if you go to troutzilla.com, you can upload. You've got a trout store with. It's just you're just going for crazy, right? I mean, just fun.
Yeah, just having fun with it. If it works out, I'd like it to work out. What I'm doing right now, I want to get out, dude. I'll be honest with you. I'm on disability. I want to get off disability, get back into here, making some.
Good man.
Getting back to work.
Good man.
And this makes it great. If not, I'm going to go try something else. I'm not just going to sit around getting this monthly check. It's just not.
Good man. I like that. Who wants to sit on disability when you can? And the internet's great because you can do it at home. You can sit comfortably and there's a lot you can do here. So you want to make this a going concern that may make some money. I see you have a store. You're selling T-shirts.
Yeah, and I wanted to know what I could do to add more pizzazz to it, make it more attractive. I was thinking Flash, but then I heard that Flash is not really compatible with some search engines.
Search engines don't see it. iPads and iPhones don't see it. You also, if you want blind users or users with disabilities, it's not accessible. They can't see into the Flash. So, yeah, I would not use Flash. Adding pizzazz is going to mean using something besides the basic site builder that you're using right there. You can only do so much with a site builder. And by the way, Flash is hard to learn. There's a lot to learn there. I would not probably use Flash, but I would also probably start looking at other ways to build websites besides this simple tool that GoDaddy offers you.
Okay.
I'm
not all that great on how to build them,
Yeah, well, that's how you add pizzazz. You can also do it by adding content, right? So having better content, really, that's the best way to build a site is to have good content. Maybe not worry so much about the tool or the look and feel as, this is not a bad site, but there's not much here, right? I've pretty much seen it all.
It's a starting point. I wanted to get and I am adding as I go.
I think the pictures is a good idea. I think having a gallery is great. I'd make those pictures a little smaller or do thumbnails so that people could see more of the pictures without having to scroll down.
Okay.
I think the store, that's a good idea. You haven't put Google Ads on here. That would add some revenue.
I wouldn't junk it up with ads, but you could put some Google ads on there. How much a month is this site?
Oh God, it's minimal. It's cost me like maybe it's less than it's
like
about $9 a month.
$9 a month. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is fine. You know, one of our advertisers is Squarespace.com. GoDaddy really is not so much a hosting company as a domain registrar, and they add hosting as a way to, you know, as a feature. But I would actually go look at Squarespace.com. You continue to have Trapzilla.com as your website, but Squarespace a little more. It's $12 a month. Actually, it can go down as $10 if you sign up for a longer period of time. And it has, I think, better development tools. Okay. So it, you know, if you go to Squarespace.com, and I have to say they're an advertiser, I should mention so. Okay. But if you look at their examples, you can see how people are using it. At the very least, these might inspire you to some design ideas.
Good.
But you know, the trick is you don't want to become a web designer necessarily. You want to make a site. So you need a tool that lets you do a great-looking site without having to be a lot of study involved. Okay. And GoDaddy's site builder is very simple, very primitive. It's really just to get you started. Okay. I would look at Squarespace. There are other sites like Squarespace. Typepad.com is another one. But I like Typepad, Typepad. But I like Squarespace's variety of tools and capabilities, and I think you can make a very credible, very good-looking site very quickly. All right, that's how you add pizzazz. But the real pizzazz is going to come from content. So get more pictures, get funny stories about trout. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to put there. Maybe do a trout podcast. Do some audio. It's very easy to put audio on a site. The more you put on there, the more content that's on there, the more interesting, I think. And that's better than just flashing it up. I think I want more substance and less just flash with lowercase f. Hey, as long as I'm talking about Squarespace, it might be a good time to do a Squarespace ad. What do you think? I didn't mention the coupon code, TechGuy9, to her. But since you're watching the podcast, I can mention it to you. Squarespace is a great place for doing a website. As I said, it's hosting plus software. The pricing, if you click the pricing tag, you'll see it varies depending if you buy monthly, it's $13.33 a month. Yearly, it's $12 a month. Or if you buy a 2-year subscription, as low as $10.67. But if you use that offer code when you buy TechGuy9, they'll take another 10% off for the first 6 months. In all 3 cases, you get the full software. In fact, the best way to try Squarespace is to go to squarespace.com and click that green Try It Free button. You'll get a full website, all the software, everything, all the features are all available for 2 weeks. So it's a great way to just kind of say, well, let me see what it would look like. Without any cost. There's no credit card, no obligation. They have some great stuff. It's very good hosting. Extremely reliable hosting. It's one of the reasons I like recommending it because, you know, we bring down sites all the time. You cannot bring down a Squarespace website. You just can't. Great templates. Their site builder is so much better than the kind of rudimentary ones offered by people like GoDaddy, including these 60 designer templates, the ease of drag and drop design, great stats. Great management for things like comments and site search so that you get SEO. Very good support. You know, when you get something for free, don't count on support. What you're paying for, besides great software and great hosting, is really great support. That's, very important. If you are more advanced, you'll see they can do more advanced stuff. They've got a great mobile app for the iPhone and the iPad. And if you're never stuck in Squarespace. You can come in and out from Movable Type, WordPress, Blogger, and Typepad, from all of the big blog APIs. And that copies everything. Images, links, everything. I'm a big fan of this. We use it for our Inside TWiT blog. I really should be using it for everything. But just for historical reasons, we're kind of stuck with Drupal. But Squarespace wasn't around when I started doing all this. This is just the greatest thing. Again, try it for free. You don't need an offer code or anything at squarespace.com. If you decide to buy, please use the offer code TechGuy9, TECHGUY, and the number 9. Squarespace.
the secret behind exceptional websites. Let's go to Louisiana. Rob, your smartphone's freezing up, huh?
Hey, Leo. Thank you very much for taking my call.
My great pleasure. Thanks for calling.
Hey, it's a pleasure talking to you, sir. And I just recently got a Motorola Citrus, which Verizon was offering for free back in July, and already sent the first phone back. And, I'm on my second phone now, and what it likes to do every now and then, it likes to sometimes it'll freeze up like the computer would freeze up. Then I have to take the battery out, let it sit there for a minute, put my battery back in, restart it.
How frustrating is that?
And sometimes it likes power cycle, like
Yeah. You know, I'm not sure. There's a number of things it could be. It is true that this can happen if there's a hardware problem, although you did turn it back in. More likely, to be honest with you, it's not a hardware problem. The Android operating system, which is what the Citrus is running, I found does crash a lot. Now, this is not even the most recent Android operating system. It's Eclair. It's 2.1, which is pretty out of date. I think that's really the issue. And I'm not sure what the fix is for that. Be careful what software you put on there if you add additional programs. But I just think it's an old version. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, on a lovely weekend. Ready to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, and camcorders, MP3 players, and home theater, and all that jazz. Phone number 8888 Ask Leo. Please do give it a ring if you've got a question or a comment or a suggestion. I would love to hear from you. 8888 Ask Leo. That's exactly what Jim called from San Diego, our next caller. Hey, Jim, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
Okay. Hi, Leo. I'm one of your new converts.
Welcome. Glad to have you.
I just have a couple of one question, actually.
Okay.
One comment. I'm an older guy. Several years ago, there's a big fear of the computer a few years ago. And Microsoft put out an offer to calm the fears. If you press a key and the computer broke, they pay you $1 million.
No, nobody ever did that. They'd be a bankrupt company by now. Microsoft will not pay you if the computer breaks. Period. Anything. Zero, zip, nada. And if you read an email that said, we'll pay you, no. Didn't there an email go around that saying Bill Gates is going to pay a certain amount of money if you pass this? All of this stuff, forget it. The truth is this stuff breaks all the time, and if it didn't, I wouldn't have a job. And nobody's going to pay you if it breaks. You're lucky if you can get the company that manufactured the thing to stand behind it and fix it, let alone pay you $1 million. Sharon in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. What can I do for you?
Leo, I have a question. I have even gone on the forum, and I haven't been able to get the answer. I have Windows XP, and I use Internet Explorer to get my emails. When I get my emails, after reading them, I put them in my folders. And now I would like to be able to take these folders and put them on a flash drive to save them in case something happens. There are some emails which are documents that I want to have. Can you please tell me how I can do that?
Well, to start with, if you're using Internet Explorer,
yes,
whose email system are you using? Do you know? Does it?
I'm using AT&T, and it's by Yahoo Mail Classic.
It's Yahoo. Okay. So when you're doing all of that stuff, it's actually on Yahoo's hard drives on their computers, not yours.
Okay.
Yeah, it's what we call web-based email.
Right.
So you're sorting it, but you're not sorting it locally. And I understand you want to keep a copy of it.
That's probably a good idea. But in order to do that, you have to use software on your computer, not your browser, but you have to use a email program with Yahoo Mail and have that email program download the mail to your computer. Then you'll have a copy of it locally.
What software is that?
What version of Windows are you using, Sharon? Do you know?
User, please excuse me.
No, it's quite all right. I understand. Do you know what version of Windows you're using?
Windows XP.
XP. Chat room, can she use live mail, Windows Live Mail on XP? I can't remember if Microsoft allows that or not. I think they do. So if that's the case, you go to get.live.com in your Internet Explorer. Okay, Sharon?
Live?
Get, get.live.com. And what you'll see is a page that says Windows Live Essentials.
Okay.
And it's a download that you'll have check boxes of what you want, but what you're looking for is mail, is one of the things you'll be downloading.
Okay.
This is free. It's from Microsoft, so it's trustworthy. And what Windows Live Mail is a email program that you'll run on your computer that will get the mail, download the mail from Yahoo, and store it on your computer, just what you want, right?
Yes, and then from my computer, I can put it on a flash drive.
Then once it's on your computer, you can back it up. You can put it on a flash drive. You can do anything you want with it, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Now, here's a negative. And I'm not sure if AT&T gives you Yahoo Mail Plus or not. But the Yahoo Mail, in order to do this, requires that you, I think it's pay them $20 a year. You have to get the Yahoo Plus Mail. Then AT&T may give you Plus Mail. I'm not sure.
So it's giving me Mail Classic.
Yeah. Well, there's a button that you can click that will make it their more advanced mail, but that's not the issue. The issue is, does it let you download the mail or not? Okay. And probably you could talk to AT&T and find out. I pay for Yahoo Plus, which means that I can go. In fact, Yahoo, we'll put a link to this page from the Yahoo Help site that tells you how to set up a Yahoo Mail account in Windows Live Mail. Okay. And so you'll walk through these steps. AT&T could probably walk you through it as well. I'll put that in the chat room so that James can put it in our website, techguylabs.com. There's a link to help.yahoo.com. But it will walk you through the steps to get your Windows Live Mail to download the mail from Yahoo. Once you're doing that, you got it. You got a copy. So understand, Yahoo's keeping a copy. They keep it on their servers. It's safe there. But I understand you also want to get a copy for yourself. And to do that, you need a program on your computer. I'm recommending the free Windows Live Mail from Microsoft. I think it's really good. Okay. But in order to do that now, you have to set up Windows Live Mail to go to the Yahoo servers and say, give me the mail.
Okay.
And that's going to take a couple of setup things.
From now on, when I get mail, I don't open it in Internet Explorer. I open it in that Mail Plus or Mail...
Live Mail. You could do both, actually, Sharon.
Okay.
So it continues to be stored on the server, still on the server. You can read it in any web browser on any computer. But also, you'll have a copy on your hard drive.
Oh, I see.
And you may find that you kind of prefer using Windows Live Mail, actually.
Oh.
Because it sounds like you're a sophisticated user. If you're already filing mail away in folders, you can use Windows Live Mail to create the folders. It's faster to drag and drop in Windows Live Mail. I just think you'll be happier.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, I will try that. I really appreciate it. And before you go, you were talking about building a web page to someone before me a few minutes ago. Can you please repeat and say which places are good? Because I am trying to build a web page myself. And can you please repeat and say which places are good to do that? Sure.
So in order to have your own website, you probably already know this, you need a couple of things. You need a company that hosts the website. You don't host it on your personal computer. It's hosted by a web hosting company. I recommend that you also have software running on that web hosting company's servers called Content Management System, or CMS. That software means you can log into your website with a web browser, or use, in fact, when you download Windows Live Mail, you can also get a program from Microsoft. It's part of the Essentials that's just fantastic it's called Writer, that allows you to write the blog locally and then press a button and it goes to your website. I highly recommend it. So you'll need a hosting company, you'll need a content management system, and you might want some software on your computer that lets you easily post stuff onto that content management system.
And what was that one called?
The one I recommended is Squarespace. They're an advertiser, so disclaimer there, but I happen to like it a lot. Squarespace, SQUARESPACE.com. They are a hosting company and a software company, so you get both. Another company that I mentioned to our caller, our Troutzilla caller, was TypePad, TYPEPAD.com. Similar idea, software plus hosting. Both are great for websites, I think. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. Love to talk to you, help you out with your computer woes, explain stuff, how it works, talk about trends in the technology field. This is what we do. Phone number 8888 Ask Leo. And don't forget, we have a great website where all the show notes are, techguylabs.com. Someday I will finish this website. Actually, it's pretty old, and I know it's very funky, but it's functional, and we will have soon a better website. But for now, techguylabs.com. And there's links. There's all the stuff you need is right there. So when I mention a site or a link, techguylabs.com. And right on the homepage, phone number, a link to our chat room, which is a lot of fun. More than 1,000 people in chat right now, which is pretty amazing. It's a fun place to go. They're like the kids in the back of the class, helping me out, answering questions when I can't, things like that. So you could be part of my Team Tech Guy by going to the chat room. You can also watch video, download audio and video of previous shows, 806 strong. It's all at techguylabs.com. And there's a link there to the podcast network. I know we mention TWiT a lot on the show, and I know that's sometimes confusing to people because what is TWiT? How does it relate to the Tech Guy? TWiT is my company. It stands for This Week in Tech. And we do about 25 other shows besides the Tech Guy show. But they're for hardcore tech enthusiasts. This is the show that is most accessible. The rest of them are for people who are really into technology. And they're all freely available on the internet. They're podcasts, basically, audio and video, or you can watch live. And if you want to know more about that and those other shows that we do, just Google the word TWiT, T-W-I-T, or you can go directly to twit.tv, and that's where you'll find it all. Damien in Spokane, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Damien.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I was kind of curious about what type of internet service do you recommend or like Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, whatever.
You know, there's no blanket answer for that because it varies considerably from town to town and region to region. Are you talking about internet access at home, or are you talking about mobile internet access?
I'm just talking about just cell phone service.
Cell phone, okay. Yeah, I mean, okay, so there are a number of, the big four, AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, and T-Mobile. Then there's a bunch of littler ones like U.S. Cellular and Metro PCS. In general, there are kind of categories of data service that vary depending on the company providing it and the region you're in. So the categories are 2G, 3G, and 4G. G standing for generation. The later the generation, in theory, the faster the connectivity. The problem is, even though there are, if you go to the internet, if you look at Wikipedia and look up 4G, you'll see what the technical definition of 4G is, and not one of the current cell phone companies in the U.S. offers anything even close to true 4G, despite the fact that they all call it 4G. So we can't even use the nomenclature to decide, well, what's going to be faster. Add to that it's heavily impacted by the number of people using it. So you might be using AT&T's high-speed network in New York City and getting great results. Go to San Francisco, where there are a lot of iPhone users sucking data like crazy, and you get terrible results. That's the same technology, the same network, the same company. It just varies where you are. So mobile internet is much more complicated because the way it works is, you probably know a cell phone is on a cell site, and there are cell sites every few miles. That's just a big antenna. And when you make a call, the whole trick to cell phones is as you're talking on the phone, even when you're driving, it will hand off from one cell site to the other. And so you can go drive across country and stay on the phone the whole time as it hands it off one by one. Well, that same cell site also has data, 2G, 3G, 4G data availability to a smartphone. But all of the bandwidth for that cell site has to come to the cell site. So it's almost as if each cell site is like your house. AT&T or T-Mobile or Verizon or Sprint has to wire that cell tower with internet access. And, of course, there's going to be some amount of internet access available to each cell site, typically a megabit or a megabit and a half. Now, if you're the only one using data on that cell site, you get access to that whole pipe. If you're one of 100, you might be dividing it up a little bit. If you're one of 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, you're dividing it up a lot. And you'll notice 3G or 4G wireless access speeds vary very dramatically depending on time of day, locale, just how many people are out there using it. Often Verizon will say, we have the best network. You've heard AT&T say, we have the best network. Sprint, in some cases, has the best network because nobody's using it. It just really varies. The best independent source of information for this is PC Magazine. They, from time to time, have been testing wireless throughput, bandwidth. And they publish these results at PCMag.com. The most recent test that they did nationwide said that AT&T won everywhere, almost everywhere. The fastest, if you Google the fastest, let me see if I can find the article so I can quote it. That's the fastest ISPs. I want the fastest cell phone. I'm not sure where it is, but they test this, and I will find it. I'll put it in our show notes at techguylabs.com. But the problem is that's kind of not going to be helpful to you in your individual circumstance. What you really want to know is how fast is it where I use my cell phone, and that might vary. In fact, you might find that if it's different at home and at work, that there's no one provider that's the best. Oh, thank you for the chat room has given me that link to. Thank you, WebEx. The PC Magazine article, the fastest mobile networks, 2010. I think they did one for 2011, but in 2010, the national high-speed network, the fastest was AT&T. But in the Northeast, it was T-Mobile. In the Southeast, it was AT&T. In Central, it was AT&T. In the West, it was AT&T. So overall, AT&T. And I think those results were the same this year. In fact, I think AT&T even did better. They say, though, nationally, AT&T was the fastest, albeit the least consistent of the four nationwide carriers. Fastest but least consistent. And that's because with the iPhone, you go to the place where there's a lot of iPhones and it suddenly gets very slow. So I know I can't make a blanket recommendation. I can't say Verizon's better than AT&T. It depends where you are. I think in many cases, Sprint is faster than anybody because so few people use it. So what you should do is ask friends. When you see somebody on a iPhone, say, "Hey, what are you using, Verizon or AT&T? How fast is that?" So it's a little tricky. There is no right answer. It's best to ask friends and neighbors. That's true for internet service in general, but it's really, really true when it comes to cell phones. It just varies, and even the phone, it might vary. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. I was serving on a jury on a trial a couple of weeks ago, and it involved an internet chat, actually. And the defense attorney was reading the internet chat, and every time he came to LOL, which stands for laugh out loud, right? He read it as something else. And he would never just say LOL. He would say something like laughing online or something. Lots of love. I don't know what he was saying. But it was very hard for me to sit quietly in the jury. Lots of laughs. That's right. That's what he was saying. Lots of laughs. That's right. And I'm sitting in the jury trying to not smirk. So just so you know, there must be somewhere. I'm sure there's a book, but is there online a dictionary for internet challenged people like that defense attorney to know what all of these acronyms mean? There probably is. An internet acronyms site. Well, if you Google it, internet acronyms list, there's the largest list at netlingo.com, the largest list of text message shorthand online. So he could have looked up LOL. Boy, there's a lot of them. Did you know that asterisk $ is a shorthand for Starbucks? I didn't know, but that makes sense. Starbucks, get it? Talk to the hand is comma, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I've got to study up. There's quite a few of these. I guess if it comes from the time when people would text message each other from regular phones when they had to use the phone keypad. And the more, if you had to do that, you wanted to type as little as possible. ALAP. And so they would use these acronyms. And boy, there are a lot of them. So netlingo.com actually has a list of chat acronyms and text message shorthand. A lot of this stuff I've never heard of. Pretty wild. Connie, Atwater Village, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Connie.
Hi, Leo. I was at the Apple store the other day, and I was looking at the MacBook Pro, and the guy wanted to sell me the Apple Care 3 years for $349. Do you recommend that I buy that?
Oh, boy, you could start a big debate on this. And the people I trust and listen to often say yes. I say no.
You say no, huh?
But it's really I'll give you the parameters. You can make the decision. Apple Care, I have to say, compared to, let's say, the extended warranty that they sell at other places, is a pretty good deal. You'll get better tech support very frequently. They'll just, if something goes wrong, they'll just give you a brand new one if you have Apple Care. $349 for 3 years is not a whole lot of money. So my general recommendation on extended warranties is just say no, because really they're profit centers for electronics stores. This is how they make money. And I buy enough electronics. I never buy these, by the way. I'll tell you what I do. I never buy them because I self-insure. But the problem is, Connie, that when you don't, you're going to curse me in 2 years if something goes wrong with that MacBook Pro, and you're going to say, Leo said I didn't have to buy one. Because you're self-insuring now, you got to fix it. So in general, I would say Apple's extended warranties are really a much better deal than other companies. And if you're on the fence, I would get it, especially if you're a new user or, laptops, because they get thrown around a lot. They're, a desktop doesn't usually go bad, but a laptop, yeah, I think it makes more sense on a portable device like a laptop than it does for a desktop.
Oh, why do you like the MacBook Air over the MacBook Pro? What's the difference?
Well, you give up some stuff. It's not as much storage, right? And it's not as fast, but it's so light. And it's fast enough and big enough for me. So I'm a big fan. You've obviously listened to me a little bit, and you know that I'm a big fan of the MacBook Air. It's because it's just so portable. It's just so easy to carry it everywhere. It's a solid-state drive, so it's got no moving parts. I think that makes it a little bit more reliable. But what you do give up is a little bit slower, although the new MacBook Airs are not much slower. And it has, mostly what you give up is it has a smaller hard drive and a smaller screen. Doesn't bother me. I love it.
Okay.
Did you play with them at the Apple Store?
Yeah, I did.
What do you think?
I like them. I like the MacBook Pro because I want to make my DVDs and CDs.
Well, then there's no question, because that's one thing you don't get with an Air. Although you can buy an external for $100, they have a little external burner.
Okay.
But you're right. If you wanted to watch DVDs a lot or CDs a lot, it doesn't make sense. A Pro has that. It also has a memory card slot, which is nice. if you take a lot of pictures. And it has a much bigger hard drive.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but I love, see, partly it's because I carry it around a lot.
Okay.
So if you're not going to carry it around a lot, Connie, I wouldn't worry about it.
No.
And I think if I don't want you to curse me in 2 years if something goes wrong. So I would say get get the extended warranty, but just understand that really what you're doing is you're buying insurance, and it's a profit center for the company you're buying it from, as all insurance is. They don't build those big insurance buildings downtown on nothing. So if you're self-insuring, you in the long run it will save you money.
Okay. All right, Leo.
Thanks, Connie.
Thank you.
I have to
Bye.
say, when you have Apple Care, you get better phone support from Apple. They'll say, what's your Apple Care number? And they'll immediately give you better phone support. You get treated better in the Apple Store. They do not, and this is important, it is not an accidental damage warranty. So if you sit on your MacBook and break the screen, they're not required to fix it. But it has been my experience, especially if you're an Apple Care owner, but in general at the Apple Store, but especially if you have Apple Care, that they're very lenient. Apple has realized that one way to distinguish themselves from other PC manufacturers is by bending over backwards for customers. Of course, they charge a lot more for their hardware, so you're paying for that. They can afford to do it because they've got enough profit built into those machines. But truthfully, the service and support you get from Apple is head and shoulders above the best the PC manufacturers can offer. And if you want even better service and support, buy the Apple Care. I think on a laptop, Apple Care probably does make sense. Their support's good even without Apple Care. It's just even better with it. Douglas in Charlottesville, Virginia. Hi, Douglas. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How are you doing today?
Very well. How are you?
I am great. I'm great. I'm a truck driver, so I'm just trucking along.
Trucking along, singing a song. Well, it's good to talk to you. Are you long haul?
Yes. Left Georgia. I'm heading out to New Jersey.
Wow. Well,
Quick question.
yes, sir.
I had an very old desktop that finally stopped working, and I took the hard drive out of it, got the enclosure to make it an external hard drive. And I decided to keep all my media on it, and I got pictures and I got CDs on it. How do I copy my copyrighted DVDs? DVDs that I bought, I own them, that I would like to store on that external hard drive.
Right. Well, in theory, they don't want you to do that. That's why, as you said, they put copy protection on those. The good news is they're regular DVDs, not Blu-ray?
No.
They're regular ones. They're not the high-def ones.
Regular.
The good news is the copy protection that was put on DVDs, it's called CSS, is so poor, it was cracked by a high school student literally in the first few years of DVDs. So stay tuned, because after the break, you can listen on the air and I'll tell you on the air, but Douglas, I'll give you the best way to rip DVDs. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Our caller, trucker, wanted to know how to put his DVDs on the hard drive. Of course, that makes a lot of sense. You don't want to carry a stack of movies with you. He wants to put them on the hard drive. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this. My favorite is with a program called Handbrake. It's from France. And it's free, handbrake.fr. And what Handbrake does, you won't get the DVD extras, you won't get the menu system. All it does is it takes the movie itself off of the DVD and squeezes it pretty good to get it down to about a gigabyte per movie. For somebody who's putting movies on a hard drive, that seems to be the best way to do it. Handbrake.fr. Now, the guys in France who wrote this got a little nervous about the movie industry. So they took out the capability to copy protected DVDs. They were afraid of getting sued. But the good news is, essentially they left it in. And if you go to download Handbrake at handbrake.fr, you can find out pretty quickly that all it needs is another program called VLC. And then it'll be able to rip copy-protected DVDs. You should have VLC anyway. It's at videoland.org, also free. It's a DVD player software, DVD playing software that plays other movie file formats. It's really capable. So it's 2 downloads, handbrake.fr for the ripping tool and videoland.org for the software that plays back DVDs and in the process decodes the encryption. Both of those are excellent programs. There are other programs. In fact, there's a company called Slysoft that's outside the U.S. also. You understand the movie industry does not like you to do this. And they go after companies that allow you to rip DVDs. But there are, excellent ways to do it for free. This is not for free, but not hugely expensive. This is for Windows. Any DVD will unprotect encrypted movie DVDs. You can use Clone DV to make a copy, or you can rip it to the hard drive as well. Any DVD HD works with Blu-ray discs. This is the only program I know of that works with Blu-ray discs and HD DVDs. But it's not free. You can download, try before you buy. It's not horribly expensive. Any DVD HD is 79 euros. That's about $100. But I think the free version is great. Handbrake.fr and videoland.org. And understand that the Recording Industry Association of America ain't too happy about you doing this. But, as he pointed out, he bought the discs. And in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, but in my opinion, making a archival copy of a disc you already own does not in any way hurt the motion picture industry. You bought it. Don't do this to pirate. Don't put it out on the internet. But if you bought a disc and you want to make an archival copy, I don't think there's a court in the land that would fine you or in any way. Nobody would prosecute you for that. You own the disc. You bought it. You're a good person. Hey, Wade, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yeah.
Thanks for holding on. What can I do for you today?
Well, I was interested in. I've got a 35 millimeter SLR, and the digital ones are so much faster, and I don't know.
So wait a minute. You're saying you have a film SLR?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Actually, there's nothing faster than film. But if it's an SLR, you got to move the mirror up out of the way, and that always takes a little bit of time. And that's the same, by the way, on digital SLRs. They still have mirrors.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But I do night shots, right?
Ah.
And the optics on the older, like this is an old camera. It's a Pentax XM.
Oh yeah, great camera.
Or KM, pardon me.
Yep.
But very old. It was 20 years old when I bought it. And it's got the old style lenses. It's not autofocus, none of that stuff. But
you don't care because when you're doing night photography, you're doing timed exposures, right?
Exactly.
So you set it's all manual. You set the aperture, you set the shutter speed. It's a second or 20 seconds or an hour. Everything's manual. You set the focus manually, so you don't care about that.
Right. But the optics themselves, the light gathering ability, I'm trying to figure out what I can do to gather more light.
On a film or a digital?
On film. The newer lenses are probably much more technologically advanced.
Oh, that's interesting. You're saying you want to use the newer lenses on an old Pentax KM camera. Is it a screw mount on the KM?
No, it's
So it's a proprietary Pentax mount.
Right. I can't remember it.
Yeah. Well, you should check. You can get adapters. Of course, the modern lenses, you're right. I think the optics are better because they're using computer optics and they're able to grind them, I think, more accurately. So I do agree with that. Of course, you won't be able to use a lot of the expense in modern lenses is the CPU in the lens, all the electronics in the lens. You won't be able to use it, but I guess you don't care. If is it a bayonet mount?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to remember.
Thanks to the chat room. Truckee said bayonet. That's the word he was looking for. So yeah, you can get bayonet adapters I think for modern lenses. I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah, I know that you can get that. But
in fact, Edmonton Oiler guy, who I guess is a fellow Canadian, says that Pentax did not change their mount when they went digital. So you should even be able to use those Pentax digitals.
I know I can.
Because Pentax still makes the K mount.
Yeah, I still have the bayonet, or I can use the bayonet mount.
Wow, isn't that cool? Good on Pentax for doing that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did a fantastic job.
That means all that glass you bought over the years will, even if you went to a modern digital Pentax, would still be usable. I think that's great.
Work.
Yeah, I love that.
The old lens on the new camera will work.
That's great.
But you don't have the motor in the lens, right?
Right.
So
but again, you don't care because you're doing night shots, long exposure night shots. So are you asking me what's the best lens to buy?
I want the light gathering characteristics. I'd like to know.
Well, just the lower. The truth is, the light gathering characteristic is based on aperture, isn't it?
Exactly.
So the lower the aperture, or the wider the aperture, I should say, the lower the aperture number, the more light's going to go in there. I don't know if they make an f1.2 or even an f1. Of course, those are very, very expensive.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, yeah, but you can absolutely get a lower f-stop. And by doing so, of course, you don't have to have such a long exposure. You don't have to do an hour. You could do half an hour.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And if I use the camera on a telescope, like an 8-inch or a 10-inch telescope.
Oh, man, you're going to get great shots.
Yeah. And
I don't, I think that's a pretty straightforward thing to do. Just go out. You could probably buy these used, but if not, you can also rent them if you want to try before you buy. Many great rental places are available. And just go online and look for the widest aperture you can find. And then I'd love it if you'd send me some shots, Wade. I'd love to see them. Hey, I'm out of time. Thanks for joining me. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.